Thanks for joining us for another edition of Issues and Answers. I'm Ian Boyne. Today we talk about jobs, employment opportunities, growth in the economy, the kinds of things that you want to hear about. We have with us the Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, the Honourable Anthony Hilton. He'll be supplying some answers to us. We thank you so much for your company. Minister, good to have you on Issues and Answers. The PIOJ has released statistics which shows that the manufacturing sector has been coming out of its doldrums and has been showing some positive performance. We have also heard good news coming out of the Spanish Town free zone. Set this in context for us.
Well, thank you. I think the PIOJ's quarterly report has done a good job in just capturing what we in the ministry have seen for some time, which is the strengthening of and the underpinnings of the reform efforts, which I think is just now begun to show fruits palpably. The growth in manufacturing, the manufacturing sector is a tangible expression of that, because the manufacturing sector has been in decline for quite some time. Now, that the manufacturing sector has begun to grow is a combination of very specific policy measures. Firstly, in the overall improving the doing business environment, that has been improving. But specifically, I should point to the linkages council that has been established between the Ministry of Tourism, Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce, and the Ministry of Agriculture. And the manufacturing sector has been an integral part of that, and I dare say has been benefiting from that specific effort. But it is really the outcome of a specific set of measures. The manufacturing sector also links to the agro-processing sector, and the developments that are taking place in some of the subsectors of the manufacturing sector, particularly in the drinks sector, where you have people like Lasco and Grace and others have been making significant strides in those sectors. But I also want to commend the private sector for the retooling efforts that they've been making, and that as a consequence of some of the incentives that have been given recently by the government with respect to inputs into production. All of that as part of the reform effort has incentivized the sector to retool, because all materials that are part of input into production are now duty-free. So these are some of the specific measures, reform measures, that is now paying dividends to the economy in general, but to the manufacturing sector in particular.
How have you been doing, Minister, in terms of the doing business indices, business facilitation?
It has been very strong, because a major part of that is to look at the ease of doing business and also the competitiveness indices. And on both indices, it demonstrates that the reform measures have been in place. Persons have been saying for some time that we're seeing these indices and the improvement in these indices, but not feeling the effects of it.
Yes.
But I've always said that this precedes the impact, because you have to make the reforms. These reforms have to be measured before you can, and then there's a lag time between the reforms themselves and the actual impact of those reforms. And I think what the last quarter reports indicate is that there now a convergence of the reform measures and the actual impact on the ground, and the PIOJ measurement in terms of the growth rates indicates the fact that those reforms and the actual impact are now caught up and are now moving in tandem.
The Spanish Town Free Zone, Minister, how big a project is this? How significant is it?
Very significant, I think, because what it demonstrates, again, is that the whole concept of the Logistic Hub initiative has garnered the interest of global and local investors. It continued to speak to the interest, beginning with local investor. We have pointed out that Kingston Wharf Limited, having entered in that space, making significant investment in that space, and has been doing quite well, as is indicated by their balance sheets and the gains that they have been making. That to see the foreign investor, and here the significance of Spanish Town is that you're not talking about just one country. It's really a mini United Nation that have come together to invest in the Spanish Town free zone.
Which are the countries?
The countries I can easily recall are people from Dubai, persons from India, persons from the Dominican Republic, persons from the United States, and China, and others. A diverse group of investors. In fact, at the press conference, I recall some 19 investors who were here to participate in the launch event. And so that indicates a widespread interest.
Upwards of 10,000 jobs will be provided through this project.
And a number of them high quality jobs. As you will recall, the investors at the time announced 300 engineers and scholarships that have already been secured for 300 engineers. More will be needed, but that is their contribution to the workforce that will be needed. And so you're looking at over 2,500 professional and high quality, high level jobs, and other jobs ancillary and supportive of the key activities in the zone. And what I think interests me most is a range of activities as well that will be taking place in the zone. It's not only car assembly and truck assembly, a vehicle assembly, which will be quite astounding because Jamaica, although will not be manufacturing or participate in the full value chain, we have been saying for some time now that the logistics hub offer Jamaica an opportunity to participate at different level of the value chain. And this demonstrates this capability, this interest. But the other activities...
I want to take the break at this point, Minister. Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, Honorable Anthony Hilton, speaking to us about jobs and about the growth in industry. He has more to tell us when we come back from our break.
Do you want to know more about the Jamaica Logistics Hub initiative? What of the proposed transshipment port at Goat Islands? Or the jobs to be provided when the hub is fully implemented? Then sign up for the Logistics 101 training course. This free course is available when groups or organizations make a request.
The Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce website, the Logistics Hub Task Force, and you can register. As long as you have a cohort, we'll take it to you.
Increase your awareness about logistics. Call 968-7116.
We're talking investment and jobs. The Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, the Honorable Anthony Hilton, is here with us. And Minister, you were finishing off the point on the freeze.
Yeah, I was just making the point that it is the diversity of interest in the zone that I think is also of immense interest to us. And so different clusters of activities will be taking place in the zone. And that portends, what that signal is that our identification of Caymanas as the next special economic zone, I think is going very well. The investor interest there is also significant. And so we look forward to a continuation of the trend where the free zones, which are really special investment zones, will be driving investment and job creation for some time.
Are we providing enough factory space, Minister, for investors to come in? Because as you know, foreign investors want to know that the space is there. When they want to invest, they want to invest now. They don't want to have to wait for a year for you to provide that space. How is government moving with that?
Yeah. Well, it's one of the discussions taking place in government, because on one hand, government is constrained fiscally.
Of course.
So the previous dispensation where you have factory ready space in abundance, government is saying that, listen, we need now to get the private sector into the space.
Have you been doing that?
Yes, I think there's been a degree of success. We have, through a series of incentives that we have given the private sector. Private sector interests are stepping forward. We see that in the BPO space in particular, where persons like Mr. Carl Jarrett in Montego Bay, we have persons like Mr. Glenn Christian as well, who are stepping up and providing and getting into the sector, taking a measure of risk, although government has responded to meet them halfway or a part of the way in incentivizing that. But we've seen more private sector interest in the space. We're about to launch the Nagazed project, which is an expansion of the existing BPO process.
Yes.
That is a multi-phase project that will begin with about 150,000 square feet of space very shortly in Nagazed, where we have a joint venture between the Factories Corporation and a private interest here in Jamaica, where the private interest will be taking on the development and operation of the BPO space. And that is being encouraged. That will expand on the existing situation, and there are other phases to go. From all indication, the other 3 phases I think may happen very quickly with the launch of the first phase sometime in this month. Later this month.
Are you optimistic, Minister, about a significant expansion in jobs next year? Or is that just a pipe dream?
No, I am. And then there's objective, more than ample basis for that, because the reform measures are now instilling a level of confidence in our local private sector, and a range of activity and a range of recent developments indicates why that is so. We have Heineken, for example, invested in Red Stripe to multiple of its market, the market value. We have Mussons Limited recently invested in Nestle, buying out Nestle's, and that follows the same ownership structure, for example, for Separate. So a manufacturing sector. So we see again more interest in the manufacturing sector, which can only spell positive indication for jobs. And so we have every reason, both from the international investor community and local investor community, to believe that the jobs are coming, that the investments are being made as a prelude to job creation.
And the idea of a logistics-centered economy is, again, not just a wild fantasy.
No, it is not, because what it recognizes is a role for logistics as a key service area, linked to manufacturing, linked to a number of activities that provides a platform for the expansion and investment in a number of areas. Some of them.
Minister, not to break you, but how do you respond to those who say that things are not moving fast enough? You've been talking about logistics hub, logistics basis for the economy. Not much is happening. How do you respond?
First of all, I think that the facts belie that impression. I spoke earlier on about Kingston Wharf and what they've been doing, Spanish Town and what that represents. But I think it is fair to say that, you know, because it's a new area of industrial development, government had to lead in the articulation of a vision for that and to invite private sector involvement. Because, as I said, it is not the government is building out these investments. It really is the private sector that we're inviting. The private sector moves very cautiously because there are a number of steps, there are a number of things that they will have to do. What continued to inspire me and to give me great confidence is the level of interest from a diversity of sources, both local and foreign, in the space and about logistics and the logistics hub. So from where we sit, yes, it is taking some time, but I think one have to appreciate that we are building out a new sector, diversifying the economy, and articulating something that has never really been done before. So we're really looking at and relying not just on old sectors to drive the economic growth, but on sunrise sectors, new sectors that will diversify the economy. And I believe that the diversification of the Jamaican economy has never happened on the scale and at the pace at which it is doing now. And so I'll say to persons, yes, there's a sense that it's not fast enough to meet their needs. But when you look at the scale of the operation, what is involved, and the fact that these are new development, you have to give our local private sector an opportunity to even understand clearly what are business opportunity for them. And they're now finding it, because a number of them are investing in warehouse spaces. And warehouses is part of logistics and part of distribution. But there are many other opportunities in the logistics, in the supply and value chain, that I think as they begin to understand exactly what it is that we're articulating, you see more and more investment coming to the fore. What I'm heartened by is that in the sectors, in those other 3 existing hubs in the world, from where they sit, they are seeing the opportunities in Jamaica and are coming and investing in Jamaica.
Thank you very much, Minister. Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, the Honorable Anthony Hilton, speaking to us about the critical areas of jobs, investment, industrial development. We thank you for your company. Next week we'll be back. Until then, Ian Bourne wishing you a pleasant day.